if we do things the same every day, the chance of boring setting in, yeah, is a possibility. So we're just going to kick it up a notch today. I've been waking up the last 2 days with this song in my head. And it's not the words to the song, the tune you'll recognize. But I will just hum a few bars, if you will. When the lights go down in the country and the moon rises in the east, oh, I want to be there in nature. Oh, oh, oh. Anyway, just a little, note to get you excited for today. I had this vision, and the vision that I had, let's get some chart up here. The vision that I had is to do something, just slightly different. We wouldn't want to always be doing the same kind of things now, would we? Every once in a while, I'll tune into the lunar dance, that moon, to see just how we might play with what the moon represents. It's Sunday now, basically, and this is the day when we have our final quarter of the moon, that waning quarter. The last quarter of the moon is we're actually in the process of getting ready to, chill, I think might be a good way to put it. There's a kind of a releasing, if you will, to the drive of doing that is tapping us on the shoulder and saying, you've been doing a lot of things. Maybe it's a good time to kind of pull things in a little bit closer. Go with the flow, as it were. We don't really need to drive and go, go, go and push for this and push for that. Dane Rudger always referred to this last quarter of the moon as a crisis in consciousness. I mean, if we really tune into how we feel, moon, this last quarter phase, consider yourself being provided with permission to take it easy. Don't try and be in that accomplishment kind of process going forward. It's a time when you're being asked to, go inward. Consider those things that that are, really tuning into your central core being. I think of the balsamic that I was born into, which the last quarter is preparing for. There may be an inclination or a drawing toward the past that is working. Anyway, looking here at the chart, we see that our moon up here, moon is, it can be representative of the people, the collective, the, uh, the population, and among other things. And on this last quarter moon up here in Sagittarius, still Sunday today, the energy of this last quarter moon, that dynamic 90-degree pull saying, there's something that, I really need to work at. I don't feel overtly comfortable right here. A 90-degree square aspect is not one of those feel comfortable, but from the lunar Sagittarian perspective, there is the potential for a vision that, is, it's attempting to get our attention to a larger format within which we exist. That is Sagittarius. And so there's this consciousness that, or this energy that's filtering down, percolating through the consciousness of the civilization, saying, I sense that there's something more here. Can't quite put my fingers on it. Last quarter moon, tension in the air. But I really feel like I should pay attention to it. So what I'm going to do for today's astrological dance, is I'm going to focus on the moon as being one of the primary characters this week, although Mercury does play into the experience. So just kind of sit back and relax. Tune into your lunar dance. I was thinking about this last night as I was, drifting in and out of sleep, debating ways to play the astrological game for today. And we're just going to pay attention to, as I go through the week, how does this moon interface with the signs of the zodiac? And, when I do individual charts for people, I'll have a whole matrix of planetary positions, house positions, signs, and different areas of the chart and stuff that I can go through. Whereas when I'm doing these weeklies, it's kind of, I've got a chart that basically starts with Aries. So I can't really use the house flavors, which the houses are arenas within which things, can transpire, or rooms in a mansion. That's what the houses are. They're fields of available energy that tune into certain things. I can't do that in this particular format. I do that, however, when I do individual readings with people. So you'll just have to kind of, we're playing with the signs and we're playing with the planets. And so right now, it's Sunday. Monday arrives. You can kind of see the moon just jumped up ahead because it goes about 12 to 13 degrees a day. Near the end of Sagittarius, still in Sagittarius, and I do these for, oh, look at that, 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's shift this ahead an hour to 8. I like 8 o'clock, Anyway, as we consider this dance, here we are. We're Monday now. We wake up in the morning. We've still got that Sagittarian energy in play. And as we interact with one another, we still have the inklings of, I know there's something more. It's beckoning at the edges of my consciousness to pay attention to. But as the day proceeds, we remember, through citizenry, we shift into Capricorn. You know, you kind of see here, I've got 8 o'clock in the morning, I got 3 degrees away from Capricorn. That's 6 hours. So, you know, basically 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We shift into that Capricorn space. Oh, yeah, while we're still here in Sagittarius, whenever a planet is in a particular sign, the ruler of that sign has some sway on what it is that that particular planet is contemplating. And Jupiter, of course, the ruler of Sagittarius, down here in Taurus, and inching up on Uranus, which is one of those big considerations that's coming up in April, says Jupiter never really aims at the idea of like, oh, I want to be small in this consideration. I want to, you know, shift into the background. No, not a Jupiter thing. Jupiter says, oh, I'm in Taurus. I have some connection to Mother Earth, to the natural world. And so this moon, us going through Sagittarius for this particular time that we're looking at, says, I suspect, you know, I'm just going to throw this out there, that there are aspects of the natural world that have some bearing on what it is that is pulling me, drawing me further out, allowing my feeling nature to, you know, to settle into in an adventurous way, because that's Sagittarius, about how is it that we might more beneficially, Jupiter, tune into this natural world that we live in. The key is the moon senses. It feels into things. And so Monday comes along and the moon jumps into Capricorn, that arena of overt organization, overt control factors. You know, an idea is spun in the Capricorn dance that says that, is there an effective enough way to, you know, get everybody on board a particular line of thought where, you know, control can be, you know, expressed, expounded upon. And the ruler of Capricorn, we may say bounces ahead today. And the ruler of Capricorn, we're on Tuesday now, is Saturn. Saturn is down here in Pisces, you know. Is it conceivable? Do you think we might be able to sense in some fashion that this Saturn in Pisces is asking us to pay closer attention to, you know, to utilizing in an effective enough way a level of wisdom, which is a good Saturn Capricorn term, to consider how is it that my imagination, Pisces, is being spun right now. Am I in tune with my dream cycle? And from the Saturn perspective, it's kind of like, is it practical? Well, is it? Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, which is where the sun is right now, often, let's see, I think the right term would be drifts in and out and through levels of consciousness that don't generally, on one level, seek, and on another level, are recognized as part and parcel of what it is that we as a humanity have come here to accomplish as soul beings who we really are, doing this earth dance. So right now, we're in this 2.5 days, starting on Tuesday, Monday, actually late in the afternoon, of Capricorn. Another image for Capricorn is the mountain goat, the sea goat, and actually reality, as it says, coming from the sea up onto the mountain and ascending. This is the highest part of the chart up here at the top, Capricorn, ascending that mountain of consciousness, seeking wisdom, seeking a vision of what it is that would be most beneficial for the most people. That's, ideally what Capricorn is aiming at. I don't know that it hasn't been hijacked by, some level of society right now, but we won't pay too much attention to that because we're on our lunar dance right now, tuning into this experience in a very unique fashion. And, we have all kinds of interesting things. So I'm going to go back to Monday. Interesting things that are transpiring as well. You can kind of see Mercury here at 19 degrees of Pisces. This is Monday, by the way. And Uranus here at 19 degrees of Taurus. This is known as a sextile, 60 degrees. And 60 degrees aspects say, here are two elements, actually two planets in this case, that are in a 60-degree aspect to one another, which is half of a trine, 120 degrees. These are aspects that flow easily, not like the square we started out considering yesterday, Sunday, today, Sunday, really. Whereas, the water element of Pisces, how we're thinking Mercury being, shake, rattled, and rolled by the Uranian consideration down there in Taurus, saying, don't get too fixed on the ideas of what it is you think you should be thinking about, because I'm giving you the perspective right now. This is Uranus speaking, that, could awaken you to a vision, your dream cycle, as if it were, because this is Mercury and Pisces, to investigate the realms that aren't normally on the surface. And in that, from a Uranian perspective, I want to awaken you to an opportunity that exists there. And this is, ideal time to remember. Are you journaling your dreams? Dreams bring things through that often we overlook. Anyway, on with our days. Back into our Tuesday. Don't have a lot of aspects of things doing the dance with each other so closely for a few days, but the moon, it's kind of like you can almost sense, is there an easiness of flow? Water, moon rules the opposite sign of Capricorn, Cancer. And is there an easy flow when we come to that zone wherein, control is trying to be exerted? Is it through us? Is it upon us? Is it for our benefit? Is it for the benefit of many? Wednesday comes along, 6 degrees away from changing into Aquarius is where the moon sits. So that means 12 hours. So 8 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday, the moon is going to shift into Aquarius. And as it does so, it's going to encounter, yes, Pluto, the Lord of the Underworld. Now, the vision that we carry of just what this underworld really is going to have everything to say with how effectively, how efficiently we are basically being invited into a consideration of what are the deepest recesses of how I feel. Remember, we're talking about the lunar dance here. In the, awareness, inklings of awareness of things that, are buried within my consciousness, within my soul awareness, that Pluto has the responsibility of making us aware of, if we're willing. Because, Lord of the Underworld, death, why would I want to be aware of that? I want you to feel into this experience with Pluto right now, because the idea of dying is portrayed, unfortunately, as the be-all and end-all of the life adventure. And yet, is that true? If you tune into our bodies, 50 trillion cells in this vehicle that my soul inhabits, and they are all the time reaching the point of culmination, each one of them, not all at the same time, but in a matrix of the dance of life, where some of them reach culmination and they die, to be replaced by new cells. That's a dying rebirth cycle. This is really what Pluto is trying to awaken us to. Can you feel that? Are there things within your world that you have been through and are no longer relevant? They've died to you so that there could be space for something new to put in an appearance. This is Pluto's function. This is an invitation into allowing ourselves to continue to grow and not become stagnant. Can you feel that? We're talking the lunar dance still. So, as we go into Thursday, I want you to just close your eyes and imagine, if you will, the moon, the closest celestial body to Earth where we live, nestling down into the Aquarian archetype and all the planets that are in Aquarius for a couple of days. And Aquarius is that zone of an attempt to ferret out an effective method for being able to engage with more and more of the experience we share with one another. This is basic Aquarius at work. It's saying, is there a humanitarian aspect to why we're drawn together. And when that happens, how willing are we to actually open up our channels? Remember, we're talking the moon here. Can you feel the potential for how we engage with one another in this investigative process of trying to find a commonality within those in our group or groupings that has drawn us together? And for what reasons? We need to compare notes in this process to discover, and remember, we have Pluto in Aquarius now for the next 20 years. We're going to be asked to plumb some pretty substantial depths during this next 20 years of really allowing aspects of how we engage with one another in a fashion that can, if we're willing, allow for something new to be born. But in order for that to take place, we need to allow some things that are really no longer beneficial for us to die, to pass away, so that we can make space for how effectively we engage with one another in a new dance, a new mythos, if you were, that really is tuned in far more to why is it that we might think, have we been trained to think of the differences that exist between us because of physicality, and not recognize that we all have hearts. We all have that same blood coursing through our veins. We're all human beings on this planet. We are a species, and with any luck, engaged effectively with all the species on the planet. So this moon nestling down into that Aquarian space, not always comfortable, but are you going to learn something? If you're paying attention, you will. Here we get to Friday, the 8th. We can kind of see that the moon nestled down here between Mars and Venus and Aquarius, the masculine and the feminine principles. And the moon has a very definite receptivity to it, where you can sense and feel connection transpiring. And we engage with one another to discover, why are we together? What is it that we are here to accomplish? And on this same day, just to add a little extra spice into the mix, Mercury, Neptune, both at 27 degrees of Pisces. The potential for a transpiring vision from the last few degrees of Pisces, where Mercury, how we think, is in direct holding hands, holding soul consciousness with Neptune. Neptune is the creative space where the land of dreams are allowed to, be born. And Mercury is our thinking capacity. just glance real quick at the Sabian symbol for that particular degree of the zodiac where Mercury and Neptune are dancing together here on this Friday as we're getting ready for the weekend, you know. A fertile garden, this is the vision, a fertile garden under the full moon reveals a variety of full grown vegetables. And the keynote, the full satisfaction of the individual's basic needs. Have you ever stopped to consider that dream realm, the realm of unlimited creative imagination represented by Pisces, and with a Neptunian overlay, is asking us, you know, are we actually able to use our creative imagination in a forward flowing way that we can grow by? Let's go to the weekend. You know, that moon says, oh, you know, I have really enjoyed hanging with all you people here in this Aquarian kind of energy space where we can actually share our concerns with one another. And then on Saturday, the moon leaps on into that same Pisces realm, and you can kind of see we got the moon and Saturn and the sun and Neptune and Mercury all here in the realm of Pisces. You should be paying attention to what it is that your dreams are asking you to pay attention to. Remember that journal? This is the second reminder. Don't forget to write the dreams down. So our Nestle Feely emotional potential moon, it jumps here into Saturday, the Pisces dance, and immediately comes into contact with Saturn. Are my dreams being practical? Is there a wisdom at work in what it is that is being offered to me through this dream cycle experience? You put that right at the top of your journal before you go to sleep, so that as you drift into that land where the adventure of the dreaming experience is allowed to transpire, you set the invitation to be intent upon paying attention to what is it that this dreamscape that the moon has slid into is asking us to pay attention to. And since we're going to complete the week, well, on this day, here we're at the 9th, Sun here at 19 degrees of Pisces is in a sextile with this Uranus over here. Sun is our vitality. It's in that Piscean realm right now saying, are you paying attention to, because Pisces has this particular energy where we are creating a potentially new seed element that is being, enfolded, embraced, allowed to percolate, if you will, something brand new that is seeking expression, seeking, that next new moment where it can be planted into the creative space of all new life. And on this day, the sun, this Saturday, by the way, forms that sextile with Uranus down there in Taurus. It would not be out of the question. To actually, sense something in the formation of this new seed experience is being shaken vigorously, the Uranian factor, so that those things that are no longer required can be released. That in true Uranian fashion, we might awaken ourselves in our dream cycle, because we're still in the Piscean thing, to, is it, because Uranus is in Taurus, is it the potential factor of really awakening our awareness to our very dynamic part to play in the flow of the natural rhythm here on planet Earth? This is not a minor consideration, but definitely something worth, I just had this dream. I'm spinning tales here, of course. Life is full of tales if you pay attention. But in this tale, something is percolating awake in my consciousness that says, I need to do something different. I need to, recognize my connection to all the energies of life that are beckoning, that as I'm creating this new seed, I'm imbuing it with an energy potential for something new to be born that isn't the old way. Oh, no, not. And just for a little, excuse me, extra spice on this Saturday, Mars, up here at 19 degrees of Aquarius, is forming a square to this Uranus. Do you feel any restlessness? Mars is in Aquarius. Uranus has an affinity with the Aquarian archetype. So even though it's a square saying that, I'm not going to give you the easy answers that you want, that's okay. Easy answers aren't always ideal. And Mars is that impulse for action and desire. Uranus is saying, because the sun is definitely in this mix as well, let's utilize this Martian energy to, disband, if you were, aspects of how we interact with one another that no longer beckon our participation. And the Uranus down there in Taurus is saying, yes, let's use that Martian drive to awaken that solar creation of the new seed to really, potently infuse newness into what it is that we want and are required to plant into a new earth ideology. And the moon slips a little further down into the deep realm of that Piscean, flowing, creative dream space. It joins up, and we have a new moon on Sunday of this week at 20 degrees of Pisces. And the Sabian symbol for that, keep this in mind. We're still in the formation of a new seed awareness. Under the watchful and kind eye of a Chinese servant, a girl fondles a little white lamb. The keynote, growth in consciousness in its earliest tactile awareness of the wonders of unsophisticated living. I hope you paid attention to that unsophisticated word, because a lot of the attempts of, so-called up-and-coming society are to become sophisticated, which means, oh, I learned my lessons. I remember how things go. I know the read and write and arithmetic of what ticks and what makes things tick. This symbol recalls the one of phase 174 or Virgo 24 degrees. Mary and her little lamb. But it occupies a different position in the fivefold sequence. And a new factor is added, the Chinese servant. According to occult tradition, the original Chinese race was an extension of the humanity or root race preceding ours. Thus, the stress upon the biological factors of family and ancestors, and also on the dualism of the yang and yin interplay. The Chinese servant represents the past as a servant of the new evolution. The white lamb suggests the sign of all beginnings, Aries. This new evolution is just about to begin during the late Pisces phase of the year cycle. It is as yet an ideal, a white loveliness. The girl discovers the new feelings of the touch of wool and of animal warmth. The preceding fivefold sequence began with a symbol suggesting the inspiring revelation of new truths or facts, which the creative person is seeking to formulate. I hope you can feel the seed potential formulation that is underway at this particular new moon. Now we witness another kind of discovery, a sensuously emotional discovery, perhaps a presentment of the mother feeling. Where do you think that new seed is going to be planted? Into Mother Earth. And you will also notice on this day, Sunday of this week, the 10th, Mercury has shifted into Aries. Our communication process, our thinking process, how we fabricate an effective enough way to communicate with one another has just been kicked up a notch. And remember what I said at the beginning? When a planet enters a sign, the ruler of that sign has a lot to say about this. And we just looked at Mars. Where is it? Up in Aquarius, having its dance with Uranus. And Mercury stepping into Aries has, now donned the cloak of the Martian impulse and drive. All those, imaginations and thoughts and dreams that inspired our Piscean swim through the awareness levels of consciousness and dreamscape are being invited now to come to the surface, which, ironically, is, from an Aries perspective, undefined. It's just an opportunity for awakening, something that has been asleep. So that mercurial factor here on this Sunday is saying, I don't know exactly what it is that I want to do. I just know I want to do something. Mars in Aquarius, the ruler of that thing, says, is there a way that we can do this together? I get an image as I'm doing this of a procession. It's an ancient Egyptian procession carrying, a vehicle, a cart, if you will, by a lot of servants. And there in the center of this cart is the seed that we have been developing, saying, I'm almost ready to be planted. Well, that is it for this week's astrological dance, if you will. Excursion. It really is. We were doing a lunar excursion, which will continue as it goes through that small area of planetary compilation between Aquarius and Taurus, which is where all the planets are. So, a couple of extra toots to lead you on your way of this adventure this week. Ciao all. And remember what I said about seeing different things when I work on individual charts. We throw in the houses, much more adventurous. Those scenarios where things are happening in your world and you wondered why. That is an astrological reading. It's a magical place. It is. So, ciao all. See you next week.